Picture a medieval village. Cobblestone streets winding between thatched cottages, the air thick with the scent of wood smoke and earth. In this world, a humble stonemason catches a fleeting glimpse of a noblewoman riding by, her presence as striking as a rare bird in flight. Her silks dazzle in the sunlight, a vivid splash of colour against the mud and straw of his everyday world, a reminder of a life he can only imagine. His love is not just impractical, it's forbidden, a challenge to the very order of society, where every glance and gesture is watched and judged. In this world, birth decides everything: what you eat, how you pray, even who you're allowed to dream of loving. The boundaries are everywhere, visible and invisible. Nobles and commoners lived in separate worlds, divided by law, custom and the church. The rules were strict, and breaking them could mean ruin. For a commoner to confess love to a noblewoman was to leap across a chasm designed to be uncrossable, a risk that could cost him everything. Nobles lived in castles, their days filled with politics, privilege, and the constant pressure to maintain their status and reputation, while commoners toiled in fields from dawn to dusk, bound by backbreaking labour and the hope of survival. To speak of love across the divide was to forget your place, a dangerous act of defiance that could bring shame or worse. For the ruling class, such a confession was an insult, a threat to the social order that kept their world intact. In the eyes of her family, his feelings were not romantic. They were a naive, even offensive misunderstanding of her world, a world built on walls that love alone could not tear down. Life for a commoner in medieval times was defined by hardship and limitation, a daily struggle for survival that shaped every aspect of existence. In stark contrast, the world of a noblewoman was almost unimaginably different, separated not just by wealth but by custom, expectation and centuries of tradition. The peasant's life was hard, his world small and confined to the village, his hands rough from endless labour in the fields, and his dreams often limited by necessity. The noblewoman's life, meanwhile, was one of luxury and learning, her days filled with ritual, privilege, and the comforts of wealth: books, music and fine clothing. Strict laws dictated what each class could wear, where they could go, and even how they spoke to one another, reinforcing the boundaries between them at every turn. A commoner was expected to show deference at all times, never to address a noblewoman as an equal, and always to remember their place in the social order. Even the legal systems kept them apart. Nobles were judged by their peers, while commoners faced the authority of their lords with little hope for fairness or justice. For a commoner to confess love to a noblewoman was a shocking breach of etiquette, as unthinkable as a foot soldier daring to lecture a general on the art of war. The act itself was seen as an offence against the natural order, a scandal that would ripple through the village and echo in hushed whispers for years to come. For a noblewoman in medieval society, marriage was never about love. It was about power, strategy and the future of entire families. Every union was a calculated move on a vast political chessboard, where personal happiness was rarely considered. From the moment she was born, a noblewoman was a pawn in her family's political game. Her marriage was arranged to secure alliances, expand influence, and acquire land or wealth. Her fate was decided in secret meetings and whispered negotiations. Her feelings, dreams, and desires were irrelevant. Her duty was to her lineage and the legacy of her house. She was expected to obey, to sacrifice, and to uphold her family's honour above all else. The idea of courtly love was a fantasy. Romance belonged to songs, stories, and poetry, not to the reality of her life. While minstrels sang of passion, her world was ruled by duty and expectation. Her value was tied to her purity and her pedigree. Any hint of scandal could ruin not just her, but her entire family's reputation and future prospects. Noblewomen were closely guarded, their lives strictly controlled, to protect their reputation. Every action was watched, every word measured, and privacy was a rare luxury. A commoner's confession of love was not just forbidden, it was a threat to her family's honour, their alliances and their future. Even innocent affection could spark scandal and disaster. Even if she felt affection or longing, her choice was never truly her own. Her heart belonged to her family's ambitions, not to her own wishes. For a noblewoman, love was a luxury she could not afford, a dream glimpsed from afar but never truly within reach. The consequences for a commoner's confession were swift and brutal. The noblewoman's family would see it as an insult, demanding harsh punishment to set an example. Public flogging, the stocks, or exile were common. In extreme cases, imprisonment or death. If the lady returned his feelings, both faced ruin. He risked death, she faced disgrace and lifelong confinement. Her family would erase her from history, her prospects destroyed. In this world, kindness from the lady only doomed them both. There was no happy ending, only punishment for defying the code. Love across the divide meant destruction, not hope. Rarely, love crossed the divide, like King Edward IV secretly marrying Elizabeth Woodville, a commoner by royal standards. Their union caused scandal, proving even kings risked everything for love. Such stories are rare because the risks were immense. Most loves were crushed before they began. Imagine the pain, a commoner loving in silence, a noblewoman trapped by duty. Yet, despite the rules, hearts still ached, glances were stolen, and secret notes passed. Love ignored laws and class, even if it was doomed. These fleeting moments show the human heart's defiance. Even in the strictest society, love could not be fully extinguished.